From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome tonight. National Good Governance Summit holds in Abuja. Presidency seizes the occasion to highlight the importance of workers to national development. Ijaw and Urhobo leaders in Warri declared their support for the final delineation report for the Warri federal constituency, asked federal government and INEC to disregard ongoing agitations. Court of Appeal Abuja defers until July the 7th the hearing of substantive appeals seeking to set aside the judgment that ordered INEC to deregister the African Democratic Congress and 4 other political parties. And at least 188 people have been killed and hundreds injured following powerful back-to-back earthquakes in Venezuela. Rescue efforts underway.
On business news, Central Bank orders banks to freeze assets of individuals and BDC operators linked to terrorism financing.
On sports news tonight, Confederation of African Football hails Morocco and South Africa following qualifications to the FIFA World Cup round of 32.
And from the nation's capital, Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention rejects a proposed National Institute for Public Health and Infectious Diseases establishment bill currently being considered in the House of Representatives.
Nigerian workers are at the heart of the President's renewed hope agenda to drive the development and growth of Nigeria across all sectors. This is coming from the Chief of Staff to President Bola Tinubu, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila. Mr. Gbajabiamila, who spoke at the National Good Governance Summit of the Working People United in the nation's capital, said despite the initial challenges brought about by hard decisions taken by the administration, the welfare of workers will continue to be at the front burner. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, reports.
Other ministers that also...
Some labor leaders, government officials and workers from across various sectors have come together at this summit to debate the effect of government policies with the theme, Impact on the Working People.
Thank you very much.
The President's Chief of Staff has a message for Nigerian workers.
The fuel subsidy that consumed trillions of naira each year was unsustainable, and it enriched a privileged few far more than it ever protected the ordinary worker in whose name it was defended. A foreign exchange regime propped up by artifice was draining our reserves and distorting our markets. Hard choices had become unavoidable. Now, we all know that these reforms exacted a real and painful cost. Prices rose. The cost of living climbed. Families already stretched found themselves stretched further still. It will be an insult to the collective intelligence of the Nigerian people to dismiss that hardship, to dismiss that hardship, and this administration will never do that. Mr. President has asked also for me to assure you that the welfare of the Nigerian worker remains central to the philosophy of governance that is the renewed hope agenda.
Key stakeholders speak on the importance of the handshake between workers and the government.
WOPO is not a mere political pressure group. WOPO is a grassroots volcanic movement where are the literal muscles that lay the bricks of Nigeria's infrastructure. We are the intellect that drives our diverse economy. We are the resilient, unbreakable spirit that refuses to let this country falter, fall, or stumble.
The administration of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR came into office with a clear understanding that sustainable national development must be anchored on bold reforms, inclusive economic growth, and a renewed social contract between government, labor, employers, and the Nigerian people.
The group has pledged to sustain its assessment of government reforms, insisting that it will not relent in its struggle for a better Nigeria. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
In Delta State, Ijaw and Urobo leaders in Warri have declared their acceptance of the final delineation report for the Warri federal constituency, urging the federal government and INEC to disregard ongoing agitations by the Shekiri ethnic nationality. The leaders also called for a special voter registration exercise in the newly created polling units and electoral wards to ensure broader participation in next year's general elections.
The atmosphere is one of unity and resolve as leaders, elders, women and youths of the Ijaw and Urobo ethnic nationalities gather in Warri with repeated affirmations of support and satisfaction with the outcome of the Supreme Court ordered delineation exercise, insisting that INEC's final report should stand. Addressing journalists, the leaders react to recent agitations by some Ishekiri groups and Urobo representatives from Agbara Kingdom, alleging a misrepresentation of facts surrounding President Bola Tinubu's intervention and the final delineation of the Warri federal constituency. They urge the federal government and INEC to disregard agitations over the process and focus on implementation of the final report.
We call on the federal government and INEC to disregard the ranting of the Shekiris and the Urobos of Agbara. The final report of the registration area/electoral wards of Warri South government area has been accepted by stakeholders who are already participating in the implementation of the conduct of the 2027 general elections. However, we call for a special registration of voters to be done in all the newly created polling units and registration areas in the Warri federal constituency of Delta State. This is to enable voters who have been denied political participation in the past register to vote in the 2027 general election and onward, and also enable transfer of voters to the newly created polling units and registration areas.
Reiterating their resolve for peace, fairness and equity, the group also rejects claims that Ijaw communities do not exist in Warri South local government area, citing historic records, government documents and INEC field reports as evidence of their long-standing presence and political participation in the area.
We Ijaw people, we are not a people that are afraid of your tools. We only want to make peace. INEC has concluded the delineation process. INEC have transmitted into their portal. There is nothing anybody can do about that.
They argue that the creation of the Ewe, Buloma and Ogwijo Warri urban wards is aimed at correcting years of political marginalization and ensuring fair representation for affected communities. While INEC has uploaded the final delineation report on its platform, these leaders are asking the electoral umpire to go a step further by conducting a special voter registration exercise in the newly created polling units and registration areas across the Warri federal constituency ahead of the 2027 general elections.
In party politics, the People's Democratic Party has inaugurated an all-female grassroots mobilization arm ahead of the 2027 general elections, with the sole responsibility of mobilizing votes to deliver their governorship candidates across the states. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony, the PDP National Secretary, Samuel Ayaun, says the party is targeting 5,000 female foot soldiers in each of the states and the FCT who will drive the advocacy for PDP candidates come 2027.
The National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, along with other leaders of the party, are here for the inauguration of a grassroots mobilization group to canvass support for the PDP in 2027.
Student organization and friendly.
The newly inaugurated group is an extension of the party's youth movement with a clear mandate for women to lead the advocacy and deliver PDP candidates in their communities.
The PDP female youth wing will focus especially on mobilizing female youth across the country. The PDP can build a voter support base of not less than 10 to 20 million, all things being equal.
Well, by the powers conferred on me,
the National Secretary of the party then inaugurates the group with a charge to mobilize votes for their governorship candidates across the states.
So I want to charge those who were the DG or the directors or in charge of local government or in charge of zone to make sure that in the next 3 months, before we go into our campaigns, I want to see 5,000 females per each state. Make friends. Tell them that the best way, that the only party that can recognize youths, especially female youths, is People's Democratic Party. This coming election is a litmus test. We wanted to deliver all our federal house members, our senators, our governors in our various states.
The PDP has in the last 1 week been galvanizing its structures ahead of campaigns, with strong optimism in its ability to win governorship, national and state assembly seats in 2027.
Legal luminary Mr. Femi Falana has raised concerns over the preparedness of the state governors to start up the state policing system. Mr. Falana explained that issues like funding, training, among other critical matters, must be assessed while taking a final decision. He spoke on our political program, Politics Today.
The fears that were entertained, the problem that led to the abolition of the dual policing system during the First Republic, have they been taken care of? I haven't seen any sign. So, because of the current crisis, whereby we are witnessing the menace of kidnapping and general worsening insecurity in the country, where we are clapping that we need state police, and that once we have state police, security will be taken care of. But it goes beyond that. I have seen the bill passed by the both chambers of the National Assembly. You know, the bill is very, very sketchy. Other than say that the governors will appoint state commissioners. You know, where do we go from there? How will they be appointed? Where are the checks and balances? Now, how would they reflect the appointments of police officers? How would they reflect the interests of the people in the state? How are you going to fund to equip the police force by some state government that can hardly pay salaries and pension? So we must agree that there is already a challenge. But there are a series of formidable legal, political, and financial implications which are not being addressed.
In part 2 after the break, federal government says it is collaborating with the international community to secure the release of the abducted Warri victims in Oyo State. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. National Good Governance Summit holds in Abuja. Presidency uses the occasion to highlight the importance of workers to national development. Ijaw and Urobo leaders in Warri declared their support for the final delineation report for the Warri federal constituency, asked federal government and INEC to disregard ongoing agitations. Court of Appeal Abuja defers until July the 7th the hearing of substantive appeals seeking to set aside the judgment that ordered INEC to deregister the African Democratic Congress and 4 other political parties. And at least 188 people have been killed and hundreds injured following powerful back-to-back earthquakes in Venezuela. Rescue efforts underway. The Court of Appeal Abuja has deferred until July the 7th the hearing of substantive appeals seeking to set aside the judgment that ordered the electoral umpire INEC to deregister the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, and 4 other political parties. A 3-member panel of the Appellate Court, led by Justice Abba Mohammed, agreed to the hearing of the appeals after housekeeping proceedings that enabled parties in the matter to identify and regularize all the processes they filed in the matter. Aside from the ADC, the other parties seeking the nullification of the Federal High Court judgment are the Action People's Party, Action Alliance, Accord Party, and Zenith Labour Party. The Appellate Court panel also held that all the appeals would be heard on the slated date, and the Appeal Court had on June the 16th ordered the stay of execution of the High Court judgment, even as it slammed the trial judge for disrespecting the judicial hierarchy.
They've been on for quite a long time, and they just woke up one day. These people are not INEC. They say they have a right to ask court to deregister political parties, and that's why we're in court. So I don't need it to say, you could see that their lordships are bending backward to give this case the priority it deserves. Just like I said in the court, we got the judgment on Monday. Within 3 days, we compile record, even as appellant. That's the substantive matter. And they gave us 3 days. Ordinarily, as appellant, we are entitled to 45 days. And they gave us 3 days. So you will see that both the court, the council, and the parties are doing everything possible. Even for the fact that the people that brought us to court, the 2023 general election was conducted as far back as when. If they had wanted to go to court, they could have gone to court then. But despite the fact that they took a lot of time, we are all adjusting to them. So the lordships are doing their best, we are doing our best. It does not affect the justice of the matter in any way whatsoever. Yes, that's just it.
To the Federal High Court in Abuja, where Justice James Omotosho has fixed September the 29th this year for judgment in a suit seeking to compel the Inspector General of Police and other police authorities to reopen investigations into the death of singer Ilerolua Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad. The suit filed by Break the Silence Foundation argues that key aspects of the earlier investigation were not adequately explored. The court dismissed an application by an interested party seeking to join the case, while the foundation insists a fresh probe is necessary to ensure transparency, accountability, and justice nearly 3 years after the singer's death.
This is a mandamus proceeding, and our case is against the Nigerian police that they should reopen the investigation into the causes of the death of Ilerolua, that is popularly known as Mohbad. So if you are coming in as an applicant, you must demonstrate before the court that, one, you have interests. In this suit, you never told the court that you are a police officer. You didn't tell the court that you are one of the people that sponsoring this proceeding. You just say, okay, you want the court to join you in the proceeding. So it is a kind of abusive process. And luckily, the court, even without hearing and looking at our own process, so much on his own, dismiss the application. Is the height of abuse of court process. You didn't. The applicant didn't disclose the interest he has in this case. You didn't tell the court you are a police officer. You are not the commissioner of police. You are not the IG. You just say you want. So you can imagine if every Nigerian, every dictionary has to come before the court and apply to be joined by virtue of the aims and objectives of the organization, being a human rights crusader. They instructed us to approach the court, to seek the leave of the court, to apply for under mandamus, and interestingly, the leave was granted, which paved way for the mandamus itself. The police were duly served. They refused to turn up. They didn't file any process. So what it means is that they've admitted all the facts stated in our affidavits.
As the days continue to go by with many concerned Nigerians eager to see a breakthrough, The federal government says it is in collaboration with the international community to help secure the release of the abducted victims of Warri local government who were kidnapped on May the 15th of this year. Now, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, made the disclosure in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, at the commissioning of the reconstructed Premier Hotel, Ibadan, a legacy project of the 6 southwest states of Nigeria. Senator Akume noted that the federal government is seriously addressing the upswing in banditry, kidnapping, and associated criminalities across the country.
Over the past 3 years, we have enhanced interagency coordination, improved intelligence gathering, expanded technological surveillance capabilities, strengthened community-based security initiatives, and provided increased support to our armed forces and security agencies. There is an ongoing process in the National Assembly targeted at enhancing policing at all levels. We hope to roll this out in no distant future. We assure the good people of Oyo State and indeed the Southwest that the federal government is seriously addressing the upswing in banditry, kidnapping, and associated criminalities across the nation. I wish to assure you that every realistic measure, including international collaboration, is being taken to ensure that the kidnapped victims in Warri local government are safely brought home without harm or avoidable loss of life.
Here in Lagos, a total of 8 fatalities have so far been recorded, including a baby girl, while 26 persons have been rescued from a 3-story building that collapsed in the Alakija axis, Amuward of in local government, causing panic and confusion among residents of the area. Earlier, the Permanent Secretary of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Femi Okeosonyitolu, the incident occurred unexpectedly and sent shockwaves through the community as residents and commuters rushed to the scene in fear of possible casualties and further structural failure. He said the sudden collapse reportedly occurred at about 11:40 a.m. today, disrupting normal activities in the neighborhood, with people fleeing surrounding buildings for their safety. Search and rescue operations remain ongoing. So now let's head to the nation's capital, where Gloria Umezioke is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Great to see you again, Gloria. Over to you.
Thank you, Ayo. We turn our attention now to the health sector. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention is rejecting a proposed National Institute for Public Health and Infectious Diseases establishment bill currently being considered in the House of Representatives. The agency's position was made known by the Director General of the agency, Mr. Olajide Idris, during a public hearing organized by the House Committee on Infectious Diseases. He warns that creating a parallel public health institution would duplicate its statutory responsibilities and urged the National Assembly to strengthen existing public health structures instead.
Creation of a parallel institution will weaken coordination. Public health emergencies require a single, clearly recognized national authority. Establishing another federal institution with overlapping responsibilities will create uncertainty regarding leadership, accountability, and operational command during outbreaks and health emergencies. Questions will inevitably arise regarding which institutions lead surveillance, coordinates response activities, and manages laboratory networks or serves as Nigeria's official public authority. Conflict with existing national and international obligations. Section 13C and Section 81I of HB 2629 mandates the new institute to serve as the national focal point for the international health regulations, IHR. What have been the lessons we've learned from recent public health emergencies? Nigeria's responses to Ebola, COVID-19, Lassa fever, cholera, Mpox, etc., demonstrate the importance of centralized coordination and unified command. The country's health infrastructure has evolved around this principle, introducing a parallel institution with similar mandates and risk fragmentation.
More health news. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, is calling on state governments across northern Nigeria to commit at least 40% of their budgets to human capital development, with greater emphasis on quality education, maternal and child health, nutrition, women empowerment, and youth skills acquisition. He made the call during the Human Capital Development Summit for Northern Nigeria in Abuja, themed Reversing the Decline, Unleashing Potentials in the Region. The minister says investing in people through better healthcare, education, nutrition, and skill development remains the most effective pathway to sustainable economic growth and prosperity in northern Nigeria.
The key determinants of success are not primarily like classroom construction contracts or buying stuff, even though the physical facilities are necessary. The real drivers of educational outcomes are early childhood development, what households, families do, their nutrition, how children are prepared to go to school, the improved curriculum, the quality of the curriculum, its relevance and alignment with the competencies that are needed for the future. Importantly, the teacher quality, the recruitment of the teachers, their training, their motivation, their accountability, holding the teachers accountable for results. For health, specifically prioritize adolescents, especially adolescent girls, women, and early childhood. The adolescent boy and girl, we need to keep them healthy. We need to keep them in school and away from drugs, substance abuse, and experiences of violence. A child that experiences violence, whether at home or in the community, there's something that happens. It's more likely to be violent, has all kinds of other mental health ramifications. That is not the governor's task. That is society, religious leaders, traditional leaders, to focus on that core community and household and how we build our societies.
We are convening this summit because of the persistently poor human capital indices in northern Nigeria. These include one of the highest concentrations of out-of-school children in the world, alarmingly low literacy and school enrollment rates, particularly for girls, high multidimensional poverty incidences, and significant gaps in health outcomes and skills development compared to other parts of the country. The stark realities of not addressing these challenges squarely are in entrenched poverty and unemployment, which fuel social instability, exacerbate insecurity, and hinder economic growth, and widen regional disparities.
But still ahead on the news at 10, Central Bank orders banks to freeze assets of individuals and BDC operators linked to terrorism financing. But that's in business news. Just join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. The federal government says the newly unveiled National Poverty Intelligence Lab will transform how Nigeria understands, responds, and reduces poverty through evidence-based policies, improved targeting, and greater accountability in interventions. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Mr. Bernard Doro, made this known in Abuja at the unveiling of the National Poverty Intelligence Lab during a 3-day workshop organized by the ministry in Abuja. Our correspondent, Benny Ork, reports.
This is a 3-day workshop of the National Poverty Intelligence Laboratory, an initiative designed to strengthen data-driven decision-making and improve the effectiveness of poverty reduction programs across the country. Participants at the workshop include the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Mr. Bernard Doro, development partners, heads of agencies under the ministry, program managers, and other stakeholders.
This conversation, because we're here.
The platform, co-created in partnerships with Innovations for Poverty Action, acts as the analytical and evidence-based hub, driving the country's social protection and intervention architecture.
How can we change Nigeria? How can we build systems that result in lasting impact? Not just things that come and go, but things that are built on evidence. It starts with me and you. At Innovations for Poverty Action, we're very passionate about getting people out of poverty. And to be honest, we are so glad for this partnership.
For many years, our interventions have been driven by assumptions rather than evidence, sometimes by politics rather than data, and by silos rather than systems. The National Poverty Intelligence Lab changes that. It gives us the analytical infrastructure to ask the right questions, find credible answers, and hold ourselves accountable for results.
The minister also highlights how the lab will support the implementation of the One Humanitarian, One Poverty response system.
Humanitarian assistance, social protection, resilience building, and poverty reduction must not operate as parallel tracks, but as one coordinated, coherent system. The National Poverty Intelligence Lab will serve as the evidence and intelligence backbone of this system, ensuring that every intervention under the One Humanitarian, One Poverty response system is informed, targeted, and measurable.
The federal government hopes that the initiative will help ensure that poverty reduction efforts deliver sustainable results, improve accountability, and provide a clear pathway for millions of Nigerians to transition out of poverty. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
And over to Enugu State, where Governor Peter Mba has commissioned the Center for DNA Forensics and Criminal Investigation. According to the governor, his administration's investment in security infrastructure and strategic partnerships is aimed at guaranteeing the safety of lives and property across the state.
To the glory of God.
The Enugu State government, in partnership with Godfrey Okoye University and the Nigeria DNA Learning Center, has commissioned the Center for DNA Forensics and Criminal Investigation, a facility expected to strengthen scientific crime detection and evidence-based prosecution. Governor Peter Mba led top government officials to the inauguration held at the university's main campus in Enugu. Also present were the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi SAN, and the Inspector General of Police, Tunji Disu. The founding director of the Nigeria DNA Learning Center, Professor George Ude, says the facility was established to ensure that criminal investigations are driven by scientific truth rather than speculation.
Serve as a policy advisory resource on forensic science, bioethics, and evidence-based justice. Our aspiration is to reposition Nigeria as a leader, not a follower, in forensic science and genomic innovation in Africa.
The Attorney General of the Federation described the project as a significant boost to Nigeria's justice sector, while the IGP said the deployment of forensic technology would improve investigative standards and strengthen crime-fighting efforts.
Scientific institutions require not only investment, but also protection, maintenance, and collective ownership by the communities they serve. In this case, the community is the entire Nigeria. For the Nigerian police force, this center represents enormous opportunities to strengthen investigations into homicide, kidnapping, terrorism, armed robbery, sexual offenses, human trafficking, missing persons, and other cases of great crimes.
Governor Mba described the center as a major component of his administration's security architecture. He also used the opportunity to warn criminal elements that the state was increasingly equipped to track and prosecute offenders using scientific evidence.
Every footprint, fingerprint, strand of hair, blood sample, or biological trace may contain crucial evidence. As a government, we firmly believe that development in the 21st century must be driven by knowledge, innovation, and technology.
The Center for DNA Forensics and Criminal Investigation is equipped to provide DNA profiling, forensic analysis, research and training, and is expected to serve law enforcement agencies, the judiciary, and other institutions across the country.
That's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ayo, for more on the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Meristem Family Office, a subsidiary of Meristem Securities Limited, has launched the Nigeria Family Wealth Report 2026 in Lagos. The inaugural report warns that many profitable family businesses remain unprepared for the future due to over-dependence on founders and weak succession planning, thereby posing serious risks to long-term wealth continuity. It emphasizes that wealth continuity requires governance, next-generation readiness, and structured asset management.
Behind the vision of Meristem Family Office is a commitment to help families preserve and sustain wealth across generations through its holistic, complete wealth approach. That vision comes further to life with the unveiling of the Nigeria Family Wealth Report, the maiden 2026 edition, a landmark study on how family wealth can endure beyond its founders. The report reveals that while most family wealth is tied to private investments and real estate, governance and succession planning remain weak. Family assets require more than ownership. They demand active, proper governance and practical transition strategies.
About 43% of respondents in our survey established that major family wealth and business decisions still depend mainly on the founder or a small number of people within the family. And if you're talking about multi-generational wealth, 20, 30, 40 years from now, when the founder will no longer be in the picture, you can see how that is a risk that is worth addressing. One of the other things that we established is the fact that it is necessary for succession to begin before transition becomes urgent.
So why does this report matter to Meristem?
How do we ensure that the wealth and enterprises built in one generation remain productive in the next? For Meristem, as an organization, this question sits at the heart of our institutional purpose. As a group that is committed to building lasting wealth and supporting clients across wealth and capital spectrum, we believe wealth should not only be created, but stewarded with discipline, foresight, and responsibility.
Further engagement with journalists emphasized that wealth continuity is not only a private family matter, but a national concern.
Family businesses are critical to our economy. While families should also play their part in creating the structure for what they have built to outlive them, we also need our decision makers, our government, to enable these businesses. Because when private businesses begin to be seen as a national asset, then we will take deliberate decisions to enable and empower them, not make things difficult for them.
For us, it's a value added to those families. It's also a value added to the entire country, because we believe that if we're able to get it right on the area of continuity, business continuity, then we get it right as a nation. And this is why this is very, very important for us.
Meristem Family Office believes that the inaugural Nigeria Family Wealth Report 2026 marks a significant step in Nigeria's national conversation on private wealth and how it can become more enduring, more structured, and more useful across generations.
8 top engineering innovators shortlisted from 108 entries have been rewarded for their groundbreaking solutions at the 3rd National Innovation Competition Exhibition. The recognition comes at the 2026 Technology Dinner and Awards Night hosted by the Nigerian Academy of Engineering in Lagos.
The evening opens in celebration as fellows of the Nigerian Academy of Engineering gather for the 2026 Technology Dinner and Awards Night.
The occasion spotlights the third National Innovation Competition exhibition, where 8 finalists, shortlisted from 108 entries, showcase cutting-edge innovations, all competing for the grand prize. President of the Nigerian Academy of Engineering, Professor Ramon Bello, leads a tour of the exhibition stands. In his welcome address, Professor Bello expresses satisfaction with the application of technology and creativity demonstrated by the innovators.
These innovators represent the promise of a brighter, technology-driven future, and we are proud to be associated with them to support and celebrate their achievements.
Speaking on the theme, From Resource Wealth to Knowledge Wealth, the Science of Nation Building, keynote speaker and Group Managing Director of ACO Group PLC, Mr. Alfred Okoigun, underscores the importance of innovation and technology in building a knowledge-driven economy.
The future will not belong to nations that merely possess resources. It will belong to nations that possess capabilities. It will belong to nations that can create, innovate, solve problems, and continuously generate value through knowledge. Resources can generate income, but knowledge creates wealth.
The presentation of awards takes center stage as finalists in the National Innovation Competition are recognized for their outstanding innovations. 5 teams emerge as runners-up, while 3 winners clinch the top prizes, with the overall winner receiving the grand prize of 12 million naira.
We are glad that we've got recognized by the Nigerian Academy of Engineering. So it's a great opportunity to showcase what we have to the world, to see what we have locally and domestically produced power systems, which we believe is the future of this country.
We showcase them and match them with angel investors and other interested parties that will help them to be able to realize the potential of bringing their innovation, which we see as something adding to value, to be able to now get to those who get it to consume or use.
The event winds down with the Nigerian Academy of Engineering reaffirming its commitment to nurture the next generation of engineering professionals through mentorship, innovation, and capacity development.
Time now for business news with Will Ibom.
Thank you, Ayo. The Central Bank of Nigeria has directed banks to freeze the accounts and assets of 6 individuals and 4 bureau de change operators linked to terrorism financing. The directive follows sanctions imposed by Nigerian authorities and the United States over the alleged support for terrorist groups. The CBN has ordered banks to immediately identify and block any funds connected to the affected persons and businesses and submit compliance reports within 48 hours. The move forms part of efforts to strengthen oversight of the financial system and cut off funding channels for terrorist activities. And now, University, a leading private tertiary institution based in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, has expanded its footprint in the country's commercial nerve center here in Lagos with the launch of the Now Business School, a state-of-the-art institution designed to develop the next generation of business leaders. Equipped with the world-class facilities, cutting-edge technology, and modern learning resources, the school aims to bridge the gap between academic knowledge and industry needs. We have the details in this report.
0. The unveiling of Nile Business School in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, brings together academics and members of the business community. You all gather to witness a new chapter in management education. Guests are taken on a tour of the facility, showcasing modern lecture theatres, executive learning suites, digital collaboration spaces, and advanced technological infrastructure designed to support world-class learning and research.
And the pressure to get into that...
The Vice-Chancellor of Now University, Professor Dili Dogo, explains the decision that led to the establishment of the business school in Lagos.
We are actually here to connect with the business hub of Nigeria. And we see the business hub as a strategic partner in whatever we do. And if we are going to be a source of impact in the Nigerian economic development and in the Nigerian education space, then we have to be accessible.
As businesses navigate global technological disruptions, such as artificial intelligence, the Dean of the institution says Now Business School will play an important role in developing the next generation of corporate leaders and entrepreneurs, while the Pro-Chancellor speaks on his expectations in the future.
If you have jobs that are not important today and they won't be important in the future, they are redundant skills. I can tell you that a lot of what universities teach are redundant skills because legacy thing. And then the second thing is that there are jobs that are important today. They'll still be important in the future, but their importance will not increase. They are the foundational subjects. We teach those ones. And then there are jobs that are important today. Their importance would increase because of artificial intelligence. We teach those subjects.
Beyond Lagos and their existing campus in Abuja, I would expect over time that we would expand to all the major cities in Nigeria. But I think we've been very cautious about growing and having a success in Abuja. We want success in Lagos. I would expect we would have a large campus in Lagos. But beyond that, I'd expect in the next 25 years we could have campuses throughout the country.
With state-of-the-art facilities and a strong focus on leadership, innovation and enterprise, Now Business School is positioning itself as a center of excellence for management education, not only in Nigeria, but across the continent.
Now let's check in with this domestic equities market, where we see negative trends persisting for the fourth day of the week, largely on sell-offs in Aradel. Ladi Williams tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, it's another day of profit-taking, but not as intense as yesterday, but it's still with lower volume and value of trade, just 0.64%, not as big as the over 2% loss yesterday, and now we've lost the 150 trillion level. That's for the market capitalization. For the sectors that we track now, we see the biggest lagger today. That's the oil and gas counter. Aradel dipped about 10%. Today, bringing this counter down 5.22%. We also had Ondo losing today. For the consumer goods, about 6 basis points down. Banking still under pressure there, 0.28%. So yesterday was industrials dumping the market. Today, it's oil and gas, even though we see oil prices dipping in the international market.
Now let's check out the performance of other major equities amid falling oil prices. And that's business news. I'm Willie Bungus. Back to you, Ayo.
Thank you so much, Will. Simon Pusey is up next from our London studio with our international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. 2 powerful earthquakes have struck within a minute of each other in Venezuela, bringing down buildings in the capital Caracas. Rescuers are searching through the rubble and people have been heard calling for help. The first quake measured a magnitude 7.2. It was followed seconds later by an even stronger 7.5, with around 20 aftershocks since. Several districts of Caracas have been among the worst hit, with damage also reported in the coastal state of La Guaira. A state of emergency has been declared, the main airport closed and schools suspended as rescuers dig through the rubble. The United States says it is immediately deploying search teams and aid.
Nuestro acompañamiento en estas horas.
Giving an update on live television, acting President Delcy Rodriguez called it a true tragedy.
You stay here. I go over to these boards here.
NATO's 32 members have agreed to lift defence spending to 5% of national income by 2035, more than double the old target. Wrapped up overnight, it was the first summit chaired by the new Secretary-General Mark Rutte, who hailed a transformational leap for the alliance. President Trump, who had pushed hard for the figure, called it a historic achievement.
So the isolated effect of the extra defence spending in 2025 and in 2026, you see almost $140 billion extra spent nominal on defence by the Europeans and the Canadians, and also this year you will again see an increase by about $120 billion.
The Ebola outbreak in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo is now the second largest ever recorded. Health officials have confirmed more than 1,090 cases and 277 deaths, with the province of Ituri worst hit. It is the biggest first-month caseload of any Ebola outbreak on the continent, and worryingly, this strain has no approved vaccine or treatment. Aid agencies, including Doctors Without Borders, are racing to set up treatment centres and trace contacts. A heatwave gripping Western Europe has led to a series of unprecedented temperature highs, with France experiencing its hottest day ever. The UK also saw record heat for June, and Spain reached its highest daily average since 1950. Tens of millions of people are grappling with punishing temperatures which almost hit 41 degrees Celsius in Paris and have led to red heat alerts across swathes of the continent. France's national temperature indicator, an average of day and night temperatures across dozens of locations, hit 30 degrees on Wednesday, the hottest day since records began in 1947. More than half the country remains under a red heat alert, with tens of thousands of homes in the west without power. Japan's southern islands have taken a pounding from Typhoon Mekala, which is passing close to Okinawa with storm-force winds and torrential rain. Forecasters say up to 200 millimetres could fall over the next 2 days, with flights cancelled and residents told to stay indoors. Mekala was the strongest June typhoon in more than 2 decades, and though it has since eased to a severe tropical storm, it remains dangerous. A second system, Higos, is following close behind, and the two are expected to bring heavy rain and rough seas to western and eastern Japan by the weekend. Police in Kenya have sealed off key roads leading into central Nairobi ahead of planned nationwide protests marking 2 years since the deadly Gen Z-led anti-government demonstrations. Thousands of Kenyans protested against proposed tax hikes in June 2024, culminating in the storming of Parliament and the eventual withdrawal of the controversial finance bill. Protesters say they are demanding justice for more than 80 people killed and dozens more injured during the anti-tax demonstrations and last year's anniversary protests. And a family on Australia's Sunshine Coast got a fright when they discovered a large python coiled up in their living room.
Do you have a door open or something? Or?
A professional reptile wrangler was called to a Queensland, Australia home where a large snake was found hiding behind the TV.
There we go.
Stuart McKenzie later released the snake unharmed into the wild.
On the telly.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon. Back here in Lagos, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has commended South Africa after securing a historic place in the FIFA World Cup round of 32 after defeating South Korea 1-0 in their final Group A match. An excited South Africa coach, Hugo Bruce, said his team has shut up the big mouths after the country reached the knockouts for the first time in their history. In the meantime, CAF has also commended African representatives. Morocco, as the country also twice came from behind to beat Haiti 4-2 and secure their place in the round of 32. The 2013 FIFA World Cup co-hosts endured a difficult first half in Atlanta, falling behind twice before showing character, quality and depth after the break to finish the group stage unbeaten. That's sports. Ayotunde, back to you.
Thank you, Kelly. And in the main news again, the National Good Governance Summit of the Working People United today held in Abuja, the nation's capital, as the presidency used the occasion to highlight the importance of workers to national development. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good one.